Hello and welcome to Best Email Prospecting Strategies. Hey, I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter, and I'm going to be sharing with you today some really strategies that you can use right now to get things going. Hey, once again, I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. Thanks for checking this out. And really what I'm doing is I'm sharing with you some of the content from my new Masterclass that's out available right now this month. And do want you to take advantage of it. And one of the things that I love doing is each month we put out a new masterclass, and it covers a very specific topic. And that's one of the reasons we were named one of the top 10 sales development programs in the world last year. Significant honor. Loved getting it. But anyway, you can jump out to the website, thesaleshunter.com, go up to the top, University, click on it. You'll see a number of different options there. The two that I really recommend is either the email prospecting class, the master class that you get right now. But really what I'd suggest is you check out the all access pass because it gets you access to everything for a full year. Every month there's a new master class. Every month there's new content. Every month there's new video. Plus you get open office hours with me. Host of things. But anyway, hey, let's get into it here. Let's talk about what are some of the strategies that you can be using right now to help you. First of all, before you start any emailing, prospecting, build your ICP plan. Now, for those of you who don't know what ICP is, that stands for Ideal Customer Profile. You see, what you want to do is you want to be very specific with your prospecting emails. The days of sending out general emails are long gone. They just don't cut it. They just don't work. You have to be very, very specific with the emails you send out. And so what that means is you tailor it to your ICP, Ideal Customer Profile. In fact, next month, I'm going to be having a class, I'm going to be launching a class, a masterclass on ICP. So I'm going to suggest that you get that class too. Get that. Anyway, here's the whole thing. When you build, but before you start, build your ICP plan. And it has to be really built around the email, phone, voicemail, and social media. Let's walk through what I mean by this. What you want to do with your prospecting plan is create content that you can repurpose and reuse in as many different ways as possible. Now, why is this beneficial? A, it allows you to move faster. B, if you're going to take the time and effort to build out a great email, prospect email, why don't you not want to use it in your phone calls, in your voicemails, and your social media? What do I mean by this? I'm going to, first of all, before I start writing any email, I'm going to figure out what are my key points? What are the messages? And I'm going to break that down for you further here in just a bit. But you get a very specific piece and you begin to say, okay, what are going to be some of the ways that I'm going to put this into an email? What are going to be some of the ways into a phone call, into a voicemail? Now, here's the whole thing. The phone call and the voicemail are actually different. This is very, very key because remember, the voicemail is about creating interest and intrigue to get them to respond to you. And the phone call is to get them to engage. See, so there's a little bit of a difference there. The email you're sending out is to engage also. See, so you think about that. It plays a little bit of a nuance there. And yeah, the definitions kind of overlap a little bit. I get it. But what are you trying to do? You're trying to get them to respond and engage with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an email message and we'll say, we'll use as the example. I have a new CRM system that is designed specifically for people who paint houses. Okay. So in other words, what it is it's not just a CRM system, a customer relationship management software, but it's really designed for people who paint houses. Because within the CRM is a bidding platform, managing a project, a whole host of things, but it's designed purely for paint. See, now what I can do is I can craft this email and I can say, hey, how do you do in terms of managing projects once you get them? What are some of the challenges you face? What are the issues that your salespeople have when they bid a project? Does customer expectations sometimes get ahead of what you can actually deliver? There's a host of different messages that I can put in there. And guess what? Then I can also put that into a phone call, and I can also put that into a voicemail, and I can also use it on social media. Now, social media is maybe Facebook. This may be LinkedIn. This may be Instagram. This may be text messaging, any number of things. It may be Twitter. And you notice I put text messaging in there because really text messaging is really kind of almost the same thing as Twitter. Okay. But I'm going to leave text messaging aside. See, what I love doing here is this. If I have a great email, prospecting email, I want to put it out there on Instagram. I want to put it out there onto LinkedIn or wherever my customers are most likely to be. Why? Because it allows me to repurpose content. But here's what it also does. If it's a good prospecting email that's designed to engage a prospect you're emailing to, wouldn't it also work in social media? Yeah, it would. And more importantly, you can begin to get feedback as to how it goes. This is why I like this. This is why I like tying in my prospecting emails into social media. I may have a prospecting email that I'm sending out to 20 or 30 people. Now, you notice I'm not saying hundreds. I'm saying 20 or 30 people who match this ICP. 20 or 30 is not a big sample size. But I may put it out on social media and it reaches 500 to 1,000. You see, now I got more of a sample size to be able to determine whether or not this is really kind of holding water, whether it has merit. See, so I love using it across multiple platforms. It gives me more feedback, more response, and it just allows me to use my time more efficiently. Let's go to number 2. This one builds on social media. I'm going to leverage social media, your reputation, your knowledge, your network. Now, how does this tie back into email? Here's how it ties back in. Many times what happens is you're prospecting somebody and they see your emails and they may see 3, 4, 5 of your emails and they've never chosen to respond. But you know what they're doing? They're Googling you to see what social media says. Now, when we mean Google, what's that mean? Chances are it's coming up as LinkedIn. Okay. Now, remember, my audience and the audience, you're probably more B2B. Okay. So this is why I'm going to use LinkedIn as a primary example here. So what happens is they're checking, they're Googling you. What does LinkedIn say? So one of the easiest things that I'm doing here is by putting similar types of messages that I'm prospecting out onto LinkedIn. It creates continuity, creates a high degree of continuity. It also allows them to begin to understand my knowledge because they see me as being one in the same. They don't see a different person online than they do in their email. You see, I firmly believe that we have to create support beyond the email to really, truly generate a response. Here's where it gets into some really good stuff. Your network. This is what's really cool. What I like doing is I will send out an email. And let's say now in my business, it's all about helping people find better prospects. So I might send an email out that says, hey, how are you doing in terms of getting the right prospects? And then you can put down there, I've got some new information happy to share with you. The new information may come because I posed a question out on social media. I posed that same question and I got response back from 5 or 6 or 7 people. Guess what? This now gives me information that I can begin sharing in my emails. You see how this is working together? But here's where it gets even better. See, what's very interesting is I can post something out on LinkedIn. Okay. Now, remember, this is email prospecting, not social media prospecting. But hear me out on this. I may post something out there, and this may be a person who you actually have in your email database. Okay. And we'll say that you see that they view it. We'll say that they respond. There's 2 strategies, 2 approaches I love to use with this. One, I'm not going to hesitate to email them and say, hey, I see that you took a look at that. I'd love to get some more feedback from you on that. Now, you're going to say, Mark, you're stalking people. Yeah, but hold it. I'm doing it very intentionally and very deliberately because I know I can help you. See, so there's nothing wrong with that. Don't run from that. But the other thing I might do is I might take that same post and they responded back. And I say, hey, what do you see in it? I love asking people questions. in their response back to me. I post something, they make a comment. So what do you see as the most important piece? What do you see? Then I wait for them to respond, and then I will message them. I'll use either a direct message if they're a first line connection, or I'll use an in-mail message, and I'll say, hey, love to chat with you some more on this. Let me send you some more information. If I have their email, and again, in the masterclass, we go through how to uncover emails, how to uncover people's emails. I will email them. But I love tying both of these back together. And again, what am I doing? I'm taking the content that I was putting into the prospecting email, and I'm now leveraging it across different platforms. This is one of the most beautiful things to do. And one of the easiest ways to do this, depending on the type of prospecting you do. And let me just be very simple with it. Are you converting or are you educating? Let me break this down. If you're converting, this means what you sell is basically something that people are buying already. It might be janitorial services. It might be temporary labor. It might be supplies. So that's kind of a conversion. What that means is that I can be reaching out to you more often than I can if I'm educating you. Because the other type of prospecting is one where I have to educate you. You fit my ICP, but you really don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about this product or service I'm selling, and I have to educate you. So that's going to be a little elongated in terms of the prospecting process. So what this means is that if I'm educating, I may have one prospecting message that I'm leveraging across everything for the entire week. This is the message I'm using for the week. And what this does is it allows me to be very simple. And I'm taking it and I'm leveraging it across social media, because now what I'm doing is I'm also then building my reputation, my knowledge, my network, and I stay very clean in that. If, however, I'm in the conversion mode and people are buying frequently, I may be doing 2 messages a week. So what I have is I have a message I'm doing on Mondays and Tuesdays, and I have a message I'm doing on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, however you want to divide it. But what I like doing, and what I strongly suggest, is that you combine the two together. Now, if you're wondering, how do I tie together the email and the telephone in terms of the right sequencing, go back and watch and go to my YouTube channel and watch the video I put out there last week on that subject, because I talk about what is the right time frame, how fast should we follow up between the phone call and the email. And again, I can't stress that enough. But what I'm doing is I'm building my prospecting cadence around the email, but I'm not relying on the email to do it all. You see, I'm creating a cascading waterfall for everything else. Let's get into number 3. This comes back to, again, I want to make this very, very easy. Single point messaging. And I develop each point into 3 to 5 messaging. Okay, now, did I confuse you on this? Don't worry. Let me break it down. We'll say that I have a CRM system that's designed exclusively for painters, for home painters. Okay, now I realize that's kind of a B2C model versus B2B. Okay, you know what? I'll tell you what we'll do. We will make this a CRM for commercial painters. Okay, so now it's a B2B. So I may have this great CRM, and the message is it's going to simplify and allow you to track projects. But I can create 3 to 5 messages. The messages might be, how many times do customer expectations wind up being different? Do you get the customer times as to when you're supposed to be on-site, off-site correct? Is there clear payment terms spelled out? Is there an understanding of special notes we need to take advantage of? See, any one of those I could craft into a very simple message that I could put out there. That all falls under this whole thing of, I have a CRM system that's going to simplify. Or that I have a CRM system that's going to allow you to track projects. You see, what you want to do is the tighter your ICP is, the more specific your messaging can be. And this is where you create more value. This is, again, where too many salespeople fall down. Because what they do is they try to spray this too wide. Well, I'm not sure. But again, it's being absolutely tight to my ICP. Now, step number 4 here is I want you to keep it simple because this allows you to reuse and brevity. Again, let me break these down for you. This is where it gets to be very, very tricky. What you want to be able to do is you want to be able to take your messages and you want to be able to shift a few words around on them and send them back out. Now, I'm not going to send them that same message out there 3 days later. No, but I'm going to put it back in the hopper and I'm going to bring it back around in a few weeks. You see, I'm going to take all of my key messages, just reword them a little bit and put them back out there. You see, what I want you to do is I want you to have a very succinct cadence that you can use. And one of the ways this works well is by keeping it brief. The briefer we keep it, the shorter we keep it, what happens is the easier it is for us to reuse. The easier it is for us to remember what we said. The easier it is. And what I'm finding more and more is that customers are responding more than ever to shorter emails. Now, there's another school of thought out there that says, oh, you should send out long copy emails. That's for a different type of sale. Okay. Now, that's for an emotional sale. If what you're selling is emotional, long copy works. Long copy works. Run with it. But I don't think too many of you on this call are into emotional selling. See, that's why I use education and conversion as the two. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm keeping it very brief because here's what I find is that people will respond if you've been brief. Because think about this. If you get a long drawn out email from somebody, in fact, I just had this happen to me the other day. Person sent me probably 2 or 3 long emails. I didn't read them. I blew them off. And again, go back to my video last week where I talk about the 1 swipe rule and a few other things. I blew them off. Then he left me a voicemail, and no joke, it was 1 minute and 37 seconds long. Now, you know what's interesting? The gentleman can help me. But I just deleted it. I'm not going to take the time. And unfortunately, I don't want to get caught on the phone with him. I'm not going to get caught on the phone with him. You see, brevity helps set the tone for who you are. Brevity sets the tone that, hey, I can get on the phone with her. I can get on the phone with him, and it's going to be okay because they're going to respect my time. So those are 2 absolutely key. But what I'm saying here is you got to take a step back and realize this. It's not overcomplicated. But how we get it overcomplicated is because we rush into it. We rush in and we send out the emails, and then we think, now what do I do? What do I do now? What do I do now? And you don't send out an email until you have the whole plan worked out. How is this going to be communicated in my follow-up phone call? If it goes to voicemail, how am I going to communicate it? How am I going to communicate it by way of social media? How am I going to use it across every platform? And I'm going to keep it absolutely simple. Now, let's get to the one that I love. The goal is not open or response. That's not the goal. This drives me crazy. I'm going to get on a rant here on this one. You talk about an email strategy. If you want an email strategy that is all about open or response, I can put one of those together for you. That anybody can do that. Hey, show them pictures of cute puppies. Show them pictures of your kids. People will open, people will respond. But that doesn't generate sales. You see, your goal is to generate sales. This is why one of the reasons I hate it when people sit there and say, Mark, I can't come up with enough different emails. I can't come up with enough. So what I do is I take that same email, and if they have responded, I send it back out to them and, hey, and the subject line is in case you missed it. or the subject line is, I wanted to put this in the top of your inbox. And Mark, I do that because it allows me to use the same email multiple times. And I go, stupid. Because here's the whole thing. You can send out cute lines. And I had one person tell me what they do is they send out ones that say, hey, here's the deal. I know you're busy and you haven't responded, so let me know just 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1, you're not interested, never talk to me again. 2, 3, 4, and just number me back. Okay, that's cute. That may generate a response, but it's not going to generate a sale. And the worst one people send out is when they send out an email. It says, did you go missing? I haven't heard from you. Are you alive? Are you alive? Are you in the hospital? I actually get prospecting emails. Are you alive or are you in the hospital? Give me a break. The absolute worst one, just checking in. Excuse me. Isn't that a line you use when you check into a hotel? Yes. That's not a line you use in an email. If you send me an email that says just checking in, I may very well send you back a response. Oh, I'll give you a response. And my response will be very point blank this. Your room is not ready. Check back in about 10 years. You see, the goal is sales, not open a response. So this is why what you have to realize when you're dealing with prospecting emails, it's a sequential order of emails. It's a sequential order. In other words, you don't expect one email to generate it, but it's going to be a series of emails you're going to send out. This, again, is why you don't just sit there and say, I'm going to blast out an email. No. You need a sequential order of emails. And what you're doing is each one is addressing something slightly different. And again, the tighter you are to your ICP, the more value you're going to create. I'll give you an example. There's a segment I work with that is very, very specialized. And when we do prospecting emails to this particular business segment, we use language that is only used in this particular business segment. And what does it do? It generates sales. Because yes, it generates a response, but it generates the right type of response. Because it says, hey, I want to talk with you. You see, this comes back to this whole piece that my subject line and my first 8 words, again, go back to the video I put out last week. I'll be doing another free video here in a couple of weeks. What I say, get the class, please. Get the email masterclass. Would you just pick it up? It's $59. It's a bargain. I don't know, walk you through, but here's the key. You have to be able to put this together into a plan. And if you put it together into a plan, then it will absolute work its way through for you. The magic number that I've found is 7. Now, think about this for a moment. When I say 7 emails, hey, Samson, how you doing, man? Great to catch you today. When I talk about 7 emails, does this mean they're going into spam? That's the risk. They're going to go into spam. What I want to do is I want to make them so intriguing that maybe they don't respond, but at least they open and read the whole thing. If they open and read the whole thing, then their spam filter is not going to be as likely to catch it. Now, Mark, does that run counter to what you just said about short content versus long content? No. What I'm just saying is, again, every spam filter is different, and I can't sit there and say this is exactly how your spam filter, how your junk box is set up. But what I'm telling you is this. The more actionable your email is to that particular segment, the more likely it will be to open. What I am saying is go back to what I said earlier. I'm sending out 10 to 20 to 30 emails. I'm not using something such as Keep. I'm not using something as constant contact. I'm not using something as any kind of a mass email tool, because let's not kid ourselves. Those wind up creating problems, and that's going to get you blocked. This is why I say I want to segment very tightly. The reason people don't segment tightly is they say, Mark, you don't understand. I've got to be emailing 100 people a day. Well, yeah, because you're relying on email to do all the work for you. And what I'm saying is I'm going to use email as one of the tools. That's why I say go back to what I talked about here at the beginning, okay? Go back to number 1 here, okay? Which is before you start, build your ICP plan and you figure out the message. And what this is actually going to do is when you do this right, you're actually going to be sending out fewer emails because you're integrating it with everything else that you have out there. And I love the piece of integrating it with social media. Because now what I'm doing is I'm not only capturing, hopefully, the people, because hopefully they're out there on LinkedIn also. And again, I'm using LinkedIn as kind of my go-to tool, example. But there's other people in that same ICP who I don't know might be responding to it too. You see, what am I doing here? I'm allowing myself to get as much out of every email I send out as possible. Hey, here's what I really want you to do. I really want you to get the email prospecting masterclass. Number of people have picked it up. We just opened it up the other day. That's the URL. If you're on YouTube, go down to the notes section. It's in the description there, but it's learn.thesalescenter. Or what you can do is you can just go out to thesaleshunter.com, go up to the university piece, click on it, take you right there to that. But I really want you to check the course out, because here's the whole thing. I talk about this. I talk about this every video I do. I don't want you to be a rain barrel. I want you to be a rain maker. Because when you're a rainmaker, it's amazing how much business you're going to be achieving. And guess what? What is sales all about? It's about helping others see and achieve what they didn't think was possible. Hey, I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. I do hope you've enjoyed this really quick content from my masterclass on email prospecting. I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. Thanks much.